I think we all know how difficult it is to become a footballer. We know that as football fans. You can spend most of your youth in the academies, in the top Premier League clubs like Arsenal, Liverpool, Chelsea, but then you end up getting released, and then you're playing in the National League or lower sometimes. And I always said that if I was, well, when I have a kid, I want to train him as a tennis player. Get money and all that. It'd be nice. But then I came across this video by Colt Tennis. I think I sent you the link. I'm not sure if you watched it. Talking about Abraham Masaba. He's ranked like 1,700th in the world, but he's a professional. And they just went through all the numbers and the figures that he has to spend just to, get enough points to be included in these tournaments. And when I saw that, I was like, oh, yeah. It's a lot harder than I thought.
Yeah, the money is concentrated at the top, isn't it, of tennis? There's a heck of a lot of money in tennis, but it floats around right at the top, and it's the fact that there is so much at the top is what draws so many people in. But like you say, it's a tough grind down at the bottom, isn't it? I mean, I did manage to watch the video you sent, and they go into all kinds of details, don't they, about the different costs you need to travel to tournaments and things.
Mm-hmm. I wrote down the expenses from there. I think just to go to one tournament, it would cost Abraham Asaba $700 in flights, $239 for food. Obviously, I think that can vary, but 429 for the hotel, and then just a $40 entry fee, and that totaled at $1,408 in total, just for one tournament. And you could get knocked out in the first round of that tournament,
and get no money.
Yeah. So you're just losing money essentially.
Tough.
And then, when I think of that, I think of my thoughts, having a kid and then training him to be a tennis player. I don't know. I start to have second thoughts. It's expensive.
It sounds like a good idea, doesn't it? Like get your kids some lessons, train them up, get to some tournaments, but actually, especially when they're living on their own and they maybe don't have fixed income, it's incredibly difficult to fund traveling to tournament with all the expenses. And even I think that statistic you had there, that's without a coach, isn't it? So if you want to get a coach as well, which ideally you probably need if you want to make it, then it's going to just add even more and more. And I think a coach was what, saying $500 a day or something like that,
without travel expenses.
Yeah.
As well.
So I mean, it's huge risk to take in a big deficit, like you say. If you don't even manage to make it past the first round, or even if you do and you get to the first couple of rounds, you're still nowhere near breaking even.
Exactly. But then it does make you think as well, like, to be a footballer, often you see, I think I read somewhere, Heung-min Son was trained by his dad, like, relentlessly and stuff, and then that's how he essentially became good. And to train a kid, I think it's a lot less expensive. Training him at football, a lot less expensive than it is at tennis, according to this video anyway. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, when you think about it, I guess the way a lot of kids start playing football and developing a skill is through just playing with mates, kicking a ball with your dad, going to the park. No one can stop you doing that. But when you think about tennis, really, if you want to improve your game, you can't just go and hit a ball against the wall. You can't improve in that same way. You have to get some sort of coaching, some sort of input. And if your dad isn't a tennis coach, then you're going to have to pay for it. So it's going to cost money. It's going to cost money for the court space, for the rackets, for the balls, the lessons. It's going to set you back. So I think it's less accessible for kids to come and just pick up tennis. There are more boxes to tick. There are more prices to pay. So I think it's a fair point.
All right. Obviously, you graduated. That must be nice. And you told me you've been working with Christians in sport over the past year. Can you tell me a bit about that?
Yeah, about Christian sport. Yeah, so the initial plan was to go straight into sports marketing. That was so I'm at the same university as Caleb, and I studied football business and marketing. So the plan was to go into something like that, but I really messed up this interview. I had to do a pitch in front of 4 sort of like department heads, and this was the 4th round of the interview process. So I was kind of fancying my chances at this point. There was 3 people left, 1 job, and I completely bottled it, completely messed it up, and then I was gutted that day. But the next day, I met this guy at this quiz, and he worked at Christian Sport, and he just told me about what it is they do. And as soon as I kind of met this guy, I thought, do you know what? That's how I want to spend next year. And Christian Sport basically are an organisation that exists to reach the world of sport with the good news of Jesus Christ. That's the vision. That's the mission, and that comes right from elite sport through to county level sport, through to kids sport and kids camps, through to student and university. And there are loads of different ways in which that vision can kind of be fulfilled. So yeah, that's what I've been doing for the last few months. It's a lot of training this year as well. Being trained to give talks, being trained in ministry, and then working with students as well, doing one-to-ones with them, reading the Bible with them, encouraging them to live out their faith in their sport. So that's kind of been what my year's looking like so far, and serving a little bit with the church as well, which has been really fun.
Is it a local church? You said you're in Oxford. Are you still in Oxford, or is it?
Yeah, just outside of Oxford. So Christian Sport is based in Bicester. I'm not sure if you've heard of Bicester before.
I thought it was in Oxford. On a website, I thought it was in Oxford, but
yeah, it's just outside Oxford. And then I live with 9 other interns.
9.
So yeah. So it's quite big. Sorry.
Many bathrooms?
2 showers.
Okay.
So 3 bathrooms. 2 of the bathrooms have showers. But yeah, and I've got a roommate as well, so I share a room. So it's been an interesting year, but it's been a really good year so far.
I rate it, man. I rate it because what you've said is quite similar to what I was doing on my dissertation. I had to find footballers, semi-professional footballers, to interview about how they share their faith online, essentially. And I got in contact with I'm not sure if you've heard of a page on Instagram called Ballers in God.
I've heard of that before, I think, actually. Is that on Instagram?
Yeah. Yes, I know having like an associate that I know pretty well, and he sort of put the word out, and I had 2 interviews, I think, and they're actually the nicest guys. I don't think I can give the details of who it was because of ethics and stuff, but
yeah, no worries.